It's taking its time there. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel, X page and Facebook page. My name is Ryan McGinley, on the X handle, The Ryan McGinley. Joined as always by Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 on the X handle. Tony, how are you doing today? We've been looking at these press conferences. We've been writing them out, writing them up. How are you feeling this evening?
Busy, but I'm always feeling good. I just think it's indicative of your mood that you've been in since the start of the season. Always quite happy, and you're always delighted to listen to the manager's thoughts on a Friday. So, yeah, nothing changes with that regard, does it?
I think that's the thing, because we would be looking at these and we'd be watching or listening to these press conferences even if we weren't doing this job, just due to general interest. But the fact that we get to write them out and put them out on the site for everybody gives us a good understanding of both what has been said and how it's been said as well, judging by tones and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a great press conference today. There was two that happened this afternoon. Nicholas Kuhn, the Q&A of that will be going live at 6 o'clock, so have a wee look at that. If you're looking back on this video pre-recorded, then it will already be on the site. Not a lot to talk about with Nicholas Kuhn. I think he's a sharp customer. He's definitely intelligent, but he doesn't really want to elaborate too much on his responses. But yeah, a couple of really nice lines from Nicholas Kuhn. Most specifically, the line that he said that his girlfriend and his family were crying when they were watching him in the Champions League. That was a nice moment from him.
Go figure, eh? It's that atmosphere that we've spoken about, Ryan, many times. That just grips people, doesn't it? It grips outsiders, it grips strangers, and now, if you're Nicholas Kuhn, you're part of the Celtic family, it'll grip your extended family, because that's the occasions where they're obviously going along. And he spoke about that it was always his dream and his goal to play in the Champions League. So it was a big moment for him in his career personally. So his family will have been delighted for him, and you can't help but be seduced by that. What happened on Wednesday night? They picked a great game to mark their first ever Champions League, Nicholas Kuhn's family, and his first ever Champions League career game. So yeah, it was well worth it for the journey for him. He's got there in the end. Nobody can take that away from him, and I'm not surprised that his family were moved to tears, because it is quite emotional. We've grown up with it and we understand it, but if you don't understand it and you're coming to see this, it's a special and it's a hugely powerful thing, seeing the Celtic support on the floodlights on a European night. Very, very special.
Hi to everybody in the YouTube live chat at the moment. We do appreciate everybody's comments. Wherever you're getting your comments from, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, or putting a comment on X as well, we really do appreciate it from everybody. If you want to support us just that little bit more on YouTube, you can join our YouTube members channel for just £2.99 a month. You'll receive early video access, priority comments, and exclusive members chat function. Click that join button if you're on a desktop and get involved and get early access to all of our videos, including my tactical breakdown that was on the website last night into this morning. So check that out if you're a member, or if you're just a non-paying member. That is available on the site now, but you got that about 12 hours earlier. If you were a YouTube member. Tony, let's talk about Brendan Rodgers' press conference, shall we? I thought it was another good press conference. I was going to ask where to start, but I think there's only one place to start, really, and it is his declaration of love, you could say, towards Dyson Maeda. I think it's best to read these quotes out in full so that there's not any confusion as to where Rodgers' loyalty lies with the Japanese winger. Shall I just read through it all, Tony?
Go on.
Yep. So he was talking about Joe Hart doing his analysis. The person that was interviewing, or one of the questions from the press, was saying, I don't know if you saw Joe Hart do his analysis, but he was pointing out the role that Dyson Maeda plays in the team in terms of intensity. How important is he for setting the tone? He was tracking back and hunting the ball down, and players were going with him. Brendan Rodgers then responds saying, that's where the game starts. I saw reports in terms of the team doing well and keeping clean sheets in terms of the goalkeeper in the back four. It starts at the front, and we are seeing from all those guys at the top of the pitch when they see it, they are gone. That's our trigger and our reference to go. I would doubt there is anyone better in world football than Maeda at doing that. in context, that is a literal quote from Brendan Rodgers. I have watched an image of the game, and this is towards the end of the game, and he's making a recovery run into the left back position, tracking their right back, thinking the ball is going to come across, but the ball goes to the centre half and he presses it and nicks it and he's away. Even if you can do that, it's all about the level and the desire to do it, which most players won't have. He could have easily dropped that press, as he didn't have to do that one, and that was the important one. And he went and realised that he wasn't getting there, and he actually got to the centre half before the guy that should have got there. It was incredible. It was unbelievable pressing from him, but that's his mentality. We have to treat all the players and recover them in various ways, but I've got to be mindful that Dyson is playing international football and travelling all around the world a lot of the time. These are the things that are important to you. We're also preparing now for the end of the season, making sure that you're conserving energy at the right moments. Like every player, we look at them in terms of what they're eating, how they're training and working, and if they need to recover or start them or whatever. All of that is part of our programme. Pretty glowing terms from Brendan Rodgers towards Duracell Dyson, Tony, wasn't it?
Yeah. He classed him as the world's best at pressing and counter-pressing in his position. That's, I think that's called glowing praise, isn't it? But we've spoken about it before. He is a very unique player. There's not a player like him. You said you've never seen a player like him at Celtic Park. I think most Celtic supporters would admit that. And I think both of them are just revelling in the moment at the minute. Rodgers is at the top of his game. Maeda is at the top of his game. And I think the Celtic supporters there's been a love-in with Dyson Maeda for a long time now, hasn't there? And there's every single moment that's been clipped up with him. He's just, the crowds are cheering to the echo, as they say. And we've spoken before about how he's the Forrest Gump of Celtic as well. You just don't know what you're going to get with Dyson Maeda when he is good. He's sensational.
I think that analogy works in two ways, because he doesn't stop running as well. Yeah. He's like that long distance runner period of Forrest Gump as well, when he just completely runs, when he runs out of the football field as well. Dyson, that is Maeda. Yeah.
So, and if all else fails, you're getting that out on Ryan. Right? You're getting the pressing and the counter pressing. And the manager said it a few times, it starts with him. And I think he's a shining light and a glowing example to any Celtic football player in that squad. And I think that's why he's such a popular member of it, because he's just a selfless player. And I think he recognises himself. If it's not happening for me in terms of my ability on the ball, then at least off it, I've got something to offer. In terms of closing down, in terms of shutting down space. The manager there picked out an example where he shut down the centre half before the player that was closest to him did it. That kind of thing. And these are things that he's a manager's dream. He seems very low maintenance, doesn't he? But when he gets it right, i.e. put it away well the other night when he got the chance, after missing an absolute sitter in the first minute, after taking a brilliant first touch to control it, and then skying it. It's just like
Maeda.
He's one of and he is that player that the Celtic supporters just say, shrug their shoulder and say, it's Dyson, isn't it?
That is literally what you say to people at the games. It's literally what we say to each other.
Yeah, there's no other player in that squad that gets away with that. Any other player, they would be, he's inconsistent, he's this, he's that. They would get shirked. You shrug your shoulders and you say, it's Dyson, isn't it? And I think the manager does that too. It's Dyson, isn't it? And you
look at the numbers defensively. He gets away with it because of that. It's
because
he
makes
the way
up
that
for
he
it.
plays.
Yeah, I think he works under the premise that the application, energy, effort, intensity, they're prerequisites. So as long as I bring them, I'm doing half of the job. The other half is your ability to beat a man, get a cross in, or score a chance when it comes along your way. And when you marry them all together and it fits, he can be the manager said there, he can be a world beater or a panel beater. It's just like, he is what he is.
Both within 2 seconds as well.
Correct. But he's always going to give you a shift, and he's always going to leave it all out there. And that's why the Celtic supporters love him. And he's just grasped it in terms of loving this football club and knowing what it means to the supporters. And I've said before that when you come from thousands of miles away, or you come and you're not from here, once the fabric of this shirt gets under your skin, it's indelible. It's
Yep.
never washing off. You know what I mean? It remains with you. Joe Hart was here for 3 years. He spoke glowingly about Celtic and will speak glowingly about Celtic until he dies. And Peter Schmeichel's son Casper is playing for Celtic. He was speaking glowingly of Celtic, jokingly saying, "Don't send me to the worst game, send me to Dortmund game next," because they just know once this club affects you in some shape or form, whether you play for them or you're involved in it at some stage, that's it. You're hooked for life, and
It's quite
it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, and it's quite an interesting scenario for Celtic to be in at the moment. I want to touch on what you said about Kasper Schmeichel and Peter Schmeichel and everybody in the media. Celtic are kind of like the darlings of the media at the moment in the Champions League after their exploits on Wednesday. I have counted quite a few players as talking them up, the likes of Thierry Henry, Micah Richards, Jamie Carragher, Gary Lineker this afternoon as well on a podcast, Peter Schmeichel, Stan Petrov. You've got all of these, Joe Hart too. You've got all of these players or ex-players and now pundits that are really singing from that same hymn sheet, and they're really enjoying what Brendan Rodgers is bringing to Celtic at the moment. And I think that shows just how universal Celtic are in terms of the positivity of the club at the moment. It's now feeding off into people that don't even have that much of an interest in the club outside of maybe watching them as part of the punditry duties. Now you get people that are pulling for them to do well because they're enjoying what Brendan Rodgers is doing with this side. And I like to see that because any exposure is good exposure in that sense.
It's a special football club, Ryan, but it's a special football club that's not had good results at that level for a few years, and they've been treated as also rans. Let's be honest, because they have been. But now they're gaining a wee bit more respect. There's people that believe that they can do something. I've told you that this is a hill that I'm willing to die on. Celtic have an elite level manager, the best manager that they could possibly have at this juncture, at this moment in time, managing the football club. And with that comes tremendous exposure because box office Brendan, isn't it? When he speaks, people listen. And he now has a squad of players that, as a supporter, you feel are worthy of the jersey. The board backed him in the summer, gave him the quality that he wanted to have an assault on the Champions League. No participate, compete, as he said. That's the way they're seeing it. And everything the other night just married together, doesn't it? It was a wonderful occasion, a wonderful night. And you look around those results, with the exception of Bayern Munich's 9-2 result. Celtic's was the second best result of the opening match day one games, creating a wee bit of history by winning that game in the process. I said before, it's that recalibration, that new format, new mindset, the new Celtic thinking. And Brendan Rodgers believed he was the manager to be able to do that and take this team into that competition and get results. And the people that are commenting are ones that have maybe played there before, Ryan. Thierry Henry, Carragher's of this world. They know that Celtic Park's a wonderful venue. But I'm glad they're now talking about a winning Celtic team rather than, the atmosphere's great, but we waltzed off with the 3 points. It's not tourist stuff they're talking about now. They're talking about Celtic as a team and the fan base and, the electricity that can be generated in that stadium when you serve up something like you did the other night. A really good game of football and a really wonderful display and something that's heartening for the future.
I actually missed out on one of the best comments too from Joe Cole. I thought his comments in particular were absolutely tremendous on Wednesday night after the game, which was good to see. If we move on just ever so slightly and we talk about this weekend's game, there was a lot of positive talk towards Brendan Rodgers. I think he dedicated a good 5-6 minutes of the press conference to talk about how much that he admires John McGlynn. I thought that his comment initially, now it's one of those ones that you hear it through the press conference, you hear the audio, and it's a really funny moment when when John McGlynn was saying that he's a genius. He described Brendan Rodgers as a genius. So he's hearing this comment, and then his response is, the first thing I would say is, don't use that word. When that gets said, that's when everyone chases you even more. I don't need that. So it's that entertaining side of Brendan Rodgers as well. But I think John McGlynn's onto something, and the fact that there's such respect between the two managers. I also like the fact that he said, I think he's going to do a great job for Falkirk this season, just not this weekend. So that just shows you, that underlines the seriousness of Brendan Rodgers as well. He was half joking when he was saying it, but he's not going to go easy on his mate John McGlynn in the opposite dugout. He's going to play as well as he can.
Yeah, but also he's got a wonderful respect for guys like John McGlynn, and if you've ever dealt with John McGlynn, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the nicest and greatest guys involved in Scottish football.
Everybody says
I love the fact that he brought up Gian Piero Gasparini, because age is no barrier to getting a top level job again. And I think some clubs have been short-sighted by not recruiting John McGlynn. John McGlynn took a team of Hearts kids to a League Cup final before deciding to step down, or I think he was relieved of his duties, or he stepped down. You know what I mean? So I've got every admiration for John McGlynn, and you see how highly Brendan Rodgers speaks of him, how highly he rates him, and what he did at his time at Celtic. So I'm not surprised to see John McGlynn's Falkirk top of the Championship at the minute. I'm not surprised that they embarked on a unbeaten League One campaign. The guy knows football inside out, and does he deserve a crack at another big time job? He probably does, and I think that was a lovely nod from Brendan Rodgers to Gasparini and what he achieved at Atalanta to just say, look, age is no barrier. You could do worse than have a look at this guy, but he might be happy where he is, and he might be the kind of, the faithful sort that stays, because he did really well with Raith Rovers, didn't he? Too.
He did.
And, so there's clearly something about him, and I think with that respect comes the fact that this guy could do a number on you if you don't turn up and you're complacent and you're blasé and you think this is a walkover. It ain't no walkover. What Celtic will need to fight on Sunday is the come down factor from the huge high that they've been on. That's another level that they'll need to address. And it's no disrespect to Falkirk, but it is, there'll be, I don't imagine that Celtic Park will be full. So there'll be, a tapering off in the crowd as well, the noise and the atmosphere. So the players have to cope with that. But they are fighting in a cup competition that still rankles the manager that he gave up last season at the first time of asking. So Celtic will be bang at it, regardless of who plays. And we've spoken about our, and their predicted 11s will be going out later on, Ryan. But you respect them.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, you respect Falkirk for as much as you need to. But as the manager said in that documentary, it's a work day on Sunday. You're going to work. And that work is you're going to get a result. And friendly as acquaintance as John McGlynn is, that matters not a jot. You're going out to do a number on Falkirk, and he will rotate the squad. There's no two ways about it, because he alluded to that as well. But the guys that come in, the tempo, the levels that have been set. I know it's a come down and a step down from the glory night of the Champions League on Wednesday, but you're going to have to deal with that as a footballer and get your head around that and get your mind on the job and refocused and reset, reprogrammed. We go again, and the next game up's a domestic League Cup quarter final against Falkirk. That's your focus. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it'll be a good crowd on Sunday. I agree with you that I don't think it'll be completely full, but I think there will have been a reaction to the Bratislava game for supporters that were wanting just that bit more. It's also a couple of weeks.
I want to see that.
Quite a few weeks. Yeah.
I hope there is more or less a full house crowd.
Deserve it.
I think they do as well, and I think there will be a kicker from the other night's performance, and so I think one of the commenters saying the stadium should be full, but I think the Celtic fans will turn up. I might be pleasantly surprised by the crowd, but there will be. You'll know yourself because you were there. There is a come down factor from it, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So that's something that the players are going to have to deal with too. But that's where the manager comes into his own, because he won't let them get complacent. It's just not a case of just turning up and turning Falkirk over. They're on a 43-game unbeaten run, aren't they? Or a 43 league match unbeaten run. So there are no mugs, and they're coming to. I hate using the words like free hit, but they're coming to Celtic Park just as confident as Celtic are in their world at the minute, which is being top of the Premiership and playing in the Champions League. But they're top of the Championship and they've gone an unbeaten season in League One. So they're cock a hoop as well. So it's all about levels, isn't it? But when you're winning, that forms a habit too. So they're coming and thinking, okay, let's try and flick some damage. Let's do what other teams haven't done. At Celtic Park, let's score. Can we win? Can we do whatever? Can we stay in the game for as long as possible? So you don't underestimate any opponent. The forum book says Celtic should win and probably win handsomely. But I don't think John McGlynn wants to get turned over and embarrassed. So he'll be stealing his players to put in a gargantuan effort on Sunday. And, Celtic are going to have to be wary of that. But you still feel that this group of players are good enough to handle anything that's thrown at them at this minute in time.
Yeah, completely. A couple of final points I'd like to make before we finish off for today's sort of extra briefing that we've had at the moment here. Kasper Schmeichel will be making his return against Falkirk, a team that he had a really successful loan period in. Would you be able to remind me what year that was that he was on loan at Falkirk? Do you know exactly? I'm putting you on the spot, Tony. I apologise. I should have had a look before I came on. It just came to me midway through and I realised that he'd played for Falkirk.
2006 is in my head.
2006, 2007, round about that time, round about that ballpark. So it's been quite a while since he's faced off or been in Scotland and facing off, or being in the same vicinity as Falkirk. He was there on loan. He had a really fruitful loan spell there that really formed him as a professional, as a senior professional. He was under Yogi Hughes, who was actually talking about Kasper Schmeichel on the warm-up. I'll need to watch that after this video is over to hear all about it. I'm sure there'll be a couple of good stories. And the other point that I was just going to make quickly was the talk about Brendan Rodgers talking about Arne Engels and how impressive he was. He had that feeling in his head that Matt O'Reilly could leave at some point in the transfer window, but they had this guy identified. This was the perfect replacement. People are already saying, Tony, it's been 3 games he's played, but people are already saying that Celtic are not missing Matt O'Reilly at this point in time, that actually Arne Engels is bringing a new dimension to Celtic, better set pieces, some venom in his shots, and that physical presence off the ball. He really can play in all of those midfield positions, and hopefully we'll see more of that on Sunday if he starts.
I think we have to look at this as he is Arne Engels, full stop. He's not Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly era has come and gone. We loved it. We thank him for it. He is no longer a Celtic player. So I think the comparisons with Matt O'Reilly with Arne Engels should just be binned. This is a new player.
People are going to do it, Tony. People are going to do it.
Of course, because it's what people do. Myself personally, I love Matt O'Reilly. I thought he was a brilliant footballer, and he served as well. And I'm just going to enjoy Arne Engels as well, because I think he is of a similar ilk in terms of being a brilliant footballer. But I'm not going to compare his achievements to Matt O'Reilly's. He's made a more than impressive start, a highly impressive start. The other night he took that Champions League game in his stride, took the 2 penalties in his stride. He's a very confident young man, but we felt that he would be because he played more than 50 games for Augsburg in the Bundesliga, which is one of the best leagues in Europe at this moment in time. So you knew he was an accomplished player, and Celtic shelled out the price tag on him. As players always shrug their shoulders and say it's not for me to say what I'm worth. So that's fair enough. You can't judge him on price tag alone, but you judge him on what and you saw from the moment he walked onto Celtic Park against Rangers, he looked every inch a footballer. And you've seen it in the game since. You saw it against Hearts, and you saw it in glorious Technicolor on Wednesday night. You just saw from the moment the camera panned into him, the Champions League theme tune. I think you clipped it up. He was just standing there like that. Let's have this.
Nodding to himself. There was some players that were overawed by the occasion.
Yeah.
A lot of Bratislava players were like that, but he just stood there and silently just nodded his head as if this is where I belong.
Yeah, saying this is the stage.
Tony, it's fora.
Yeah. That he in that instant he nodded to himself and said, "This is my platform. This is my stage. I'm going to perform. I'm going to show you how good I am." And he did. Now, he needs to carry that on, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does, but you expect him to, because he's just cut from a different cloth, it seems. His trajectory already seems sky high, and I think the word of warning, and not to put a dampener on anything that Engels has done so far, is to just enjoy these players while they're at Celtic, because they come around once in a while. Thankfully for Celtic, they've replaced one special player with another one, and Arne Engels so far, 21 years old, looks like he's got the world at his feet. The scary thing about him as well, and this is the final point that I want to make, is that he is going to get better. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg for Arne Engels' Celtic career. I flicked up a comment there that's saying that he's going to score a screamer soon. He is. I totally agree, and I want to underline this point. When he strikes the ball, there is venom in those shots. There is it's almost akin to, I don't know if you've seen the other week, John Duran's goal for Aston Villa against Everton. I think he's capable of similar, if not better. He's got stones in those boots of his, and he's charging up for something very special. Could be at the weekend, could be further down the line, could be at Dortmund and he's returned back to Germany. But I think there's a wonder goal coming, Tony. I can feel it with Arne Engels. I
think he's the two shots that he's cracked in. Well, he cracked in the other night. They were a bit too straight, weren't they?
Yeah, they're right. The goalkeeper, if he chooses a side, he scores.
Yeah, of course. Because either side of the goalkeeper, they're in the net because they're travelling. But it's good to know he's got that in his locker. And that
was another moment as well.
First one against Hearts against the post.
Yeah.
Keeper's been saving that. He was just really, really unlucky with that. So that's these are all positive things. And you just know once he gets his shooting boots, he will start to produce those finishes. I think he just was concentrating on power rather than accuracy with those two efforts that he had. Once he gets his shooting boots and his sights, he'll do both. There'll be power and accuracy in them, and I look forward to seeing that. On you go.
Yeah,
sorry.
Me too. I was just remembering one other moment that was caught on camera. It was when Brendan Rodgers is getting videoed watching the cross come in from Engels to Liam Scales. He mouths to himself, "What a ball!" Scales is probably thinking to himself, "What a ball! I need to attack that." And a goal comes because of that. That's what quality gets you, Tony. £11 million. That is what quality gets you.
Because you put it into that area where the keeper can't come, and if your players are attacking it, they're seeing the flight of the ball. All it needs is a touch. Scales bulleted that header goal. He just couldn't hold it, because it was pretty straight, wasn't it? He headed it straight, but it was too powerful. You're not saving that because it's too close range. But the whipping the ball, just all it needs is a touch, and that's what Celtic have craved for a long time as well. Set pieces at this level are crucial too, and he took another one, Ryan, as well, where he didn't actually put it in as a cross. He played a pass. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
on the right hand side, and it was brilliant. It was really quick thinking, just switched on. And I thought to myself, this guy's got a lot in his locker. He can do a lot with a delivery, but he's always thinking what he's going to do. So the one into Scales was tremendous. The pass into, I can't remember who he passed it to. Was it Alistair Johnson? I'm not too sure, but it was excellent because he just put the ball down and he went right. And there was a Christmas in the past where Alistair Johnson could deliver and do what he did. So I think Celtic created a chance from it, but he takes a really good penalty kick so far as well. So he's got a lot, as I say, in his armoury, in his arsenal. So it's just producing that on a consistent basis. And if he does, and he grows and he develops and progresses the way Brendan Rodgers wants him to, and the way we think he can, then Celtic will have a brilliant player on their hands.
Yeah, I was just I was kind of taken aback there because something was sent to me on my phone. I think we should react to this. UEFA's Team of the Week has came out, and there is a Belgian midfielder in the centre of midfield, Yuri Tielemans of Aston Villa, alongside Ryan Gravenberch of Liverpool. No Arne Engels and no Liam Scales are in that Team of the Week. That's not a problem. We'll just hope that they can just go under the radar. If they get anything against Dortmund, I'm hoping that there'll be some players in that Team of the Week. But no Arne Engels in UEFA's top team. That's a shocking omission, isn't it, Tony?
It's a surprise. Seamus Gallagher coming in and telling him it was Maeda's header in the first half after that quick corner. That's what I knew. It was something important and it could have led to a goal. So 420 some were saying that must be a typo, Ryan, that they're not in UEFA's Team of the Week. Yeah, listen, I think that those are individual accolades for the players, and I don't think they'll particularly care. As long as the team's producing, Ryan, then that's good enough for me. I say you would like to see those players in UEFA Team of the Week, but they, as you say, they'll just continue under the radar. That's fine by me. As long as Celtic continue to get results, that's fine. Individual awards are great, but most people who get individual awards say the first thing they say is it's a team effort, don't they? It's a collective. So
it's the correct answer. It's the stock answer, but it's the correct answer at the same time.
At the moment, there's nothing more powerful and stronger than the Celtic collective, is there?
No, it's really, really strong at the moment. Is there anything else you want to mention before we finish off today's broadcast? Have we touched upon everything?
I just wanted to say that the latest edition of Grand Old Team's out as well. Ryan was saying on YouTube along with the Stats Bomb. You can catch that. Celtic's Axis of Evil. You'll enjoy that. It's good fun. And also there'll be a reaction piece, but an opinion piece on Brendan Rodgers' words today in the press conference. I've written something as well, which will be coming out on the site at 8 o'clock. So if you want to keep your eyes peeled for that, that's been scheduled for 8. But yeah, I just thank you to everybody who has supported our work and joined the YouTube members channel. It costs you $2.99 per month, and you receive, as it says in the strapline there, early video access and priority comments and exclusive access to members group chat function. So thank you for that. But yeah, just roll on Sunday, Ryan. You just can't wait now, can you? Two
more sleeps until the latest edition of you might not want to call it this, but Rodgers Ball, the latest iteration of Rodgers Ball hits the Celtic Park turf. It'll be the last time that Celtic are playing at Celtic Park for a wee while. There'll be a run of away games both in the Champions League and in the league. I believe it is. I believe it's St Johnstone, then Borussia Dortmund, and then Ross County away. So plenty of travelling to do. But if you haven't already got your ticket, get to Celtic Park because they won't be playing for another 2-3 weeks. Thank you to everybody in the comment section. We appreciate absolutely everybody's support. Click that join button if you want to become a YouTube member, as Tony quite rightly said. Enjoy the start and the rest of your weekend, rather not wishing it away too quickly. Mm-hmm. And we will be back at Sunday at round about 1:45, 1:45, to react to Celtic's probably much changed team against Falkirk. Have a very good start of your weekend, guys, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Cheers.